Hey, how's it going, investors? Dennis here. And today, let's talk about throwing a bunch of money into our account with investing. Now, I haven't done that technically, and I'm not really considering it exactly, but there is a possibility if I could to invest a fairly large chunk, and you'll see how much that is here in just a little bit. So let's just kind of go over a little bit on the portfolio, see how things are doing. This is actually going to be pre-recorded for a little bit in advance because I am going on vacation. So I kind of just wanted to have some topics to talk about. But if you are new to the portfolio and new to this channel, my name's Dennis. You can see here my portfolio is nicely named Dividend Dennis, even though I don't really actually make a lot in dividends just yet, but that is part of the journey, is that we're actually looking and focusing on dividend growth as well as dividend potential. And I actually should make a video about dividend potential here too. Now, you can see our portfolio is sitting at almost $71,000. It's actually not the peak at recordings. I think if I go to right over here. So the highest I've ever had my portfolio hit was $73,930, which was pretty fantastic to see. So it being down, quite a bit from that high is a little sad, but we're investing for the long term, so that is totally fine. Now, what I wanted to talk about was obviously investing a large chunk. And again, we're going to talk about how much that could be and how much that can have an impact on the portfolio. But before we do that, if you are somebody who wants to get started with dividend investing like this with M1 Finance, I actually do have a link down below. And as of right now, with that link, you can actually get up to $500 in a bonus for opening your account and depositing a certain amount. Now, there are tiers, which is great. So make sure you check that out in the link. And then that link also does support out the channel. So you get more free content like this. It allows me to continue to grow and invest not only in the business, but also in my portfolio as well. As I've been going through this process, so you can kind of see here, right over here where it says net cash flow. So you can see right now, I just recently put in a fairly large chunk, but if we go into the week, I put in a decent amount in the last month. So that averages out to about 500 a week there. If you look at the quarter, we did quite a bit in the quarter when things were going all over the place, and then quite a bit over the last year, which is honestly pretty amazing considering the fact that I started off with $100 in this portfolio, and then in my all time I put in 63,400. But again, if you look right here, I put in $100. So if you're somebody who's like, whoa, I can't put in that much money, no fret. Just put in $100, get started, and just put in a little bit every single week until you start feeling comfortable with that process. Now, let's go into one of the dividend calculators. So this is a calculator I use sometimes. Let me actually zoom out. Hold on. Let me zoom out just a little bit. And it still cuts it off. Interesting. Okay, so let me kind of move some stuff aside here. So right now my portfolio is sitting at 70,000, and annual contributions I'll change here in a second. My annual dividend is actually kind of lower than this. I think it's my yield is 1.3. I know my actual dividend yield is 1.08, but my yield on cost is 1.3. Average annual dividend increase is about 15% a year, and then my annual share price is about 8% a year. Get paid out quarterly. I do the DRIP program, which is the dividend reinvestments, and then investment for 5 years. But this is what I currently have in the portfolio. Obviously, these are just rounded numbers, but I have an opportunity to add a 3 in front of it. And I say opportunity, but it's just a possibility. I have a rental property that either I could sell or just pull money out of. Obviously, if I pull money out, I'll have a mortgage on that as well. But I just wanted to kind of run these numbers around and just kind of see what impact this can have on my portfolio. Now, annually, my goal is to really put in, what was it? I actually completely forgot. How much that total was. About 500 a week for 52 weeks. So that's $2,600 contributing. So I just want to kind of plug these numbers in. So with what I already have, so if, tomorrow, obviously, if I can take that 300,000 and just dump it into this account, let's see what this comes out to in 5 years. And I'll also do 10, 20, and then 30 years as well too. So in 5 years, with the 8% annual increase, with 15% annual dividends, that might be a little lush there. Maybe I'll change that there. But you can see here, That would equal out to a little over $700,000 in the portfolio, about almost 48% return. Nice. And then my annual dividend at that point in 5 years would be well over $1,000 a month, which would be awesome because like obviously part of the goal is to get to $1,000 a month and beyond. So let's see how much would 15 years change. Actually, let's do 14 because that's my time horizon is 14 years for this portfolio, in case you haven't been following along. So holy smokes, check this out. We'd be sitting at over $2 million. Oh man, that really gets you thinking there. As far as like pulling some money out and then obviously paying a mortgage, because I don't want to sell the property. That's the big thing. I don't want to sell it, so I'd be pulling money out. But you can see that $2.1 million, a total return of almost 200%, and then annual dividends. Check this out, $68,000. Holy smokes! Let's see here. All right, so let's plug this in. $68,255. That's $5,600 a month on average. Obviously, for the most part, most of these companies are probably going to pay on certain sides a little bit higher, on certain months a little bit higher, and then lower in other months. But wow, $5,687, and that's so that 14 years is my time horizon. That's like ideally when I want to start using this money for. If I wanted to relax, which I probably will never do because I love working, I love the stuff that I do here, but you just never know. So that would be pretty insane to be getting $5,600 for effectively doing nothing and then having a balance of over $1 million. So let's see what 30 years would be. So an extra 16 years on top of that. This is going to be outrageous. I know it. Now, obviously, these numbers are never going to be exact and stuff like that, but like after 30 years, $17 million. Would that really be? Wow. I'm like, that's crazy to me. Hold on. Over $1.5 million. I mean, talk about compound interest, you know? Talk about every month I'd get $127,000 in dividends. That just seems insane to me. Did I plug in the numbers right? So adding $26,000 a year starts off with $370,000. My annual dividend currently is 1.3. In case you're curious, like where I get like this expected annual dividend increase, this 15% is a lot of the companies I invest in. I have Visa up right now, so I'll just show you. So if we go to the dividend history, so like this company pays on average for 5 years 18% increases, and then so on with a lot of the other companies that I have in here as well, like Home Depot. What is this? 18.27. Obviously, that's not guaranteed. So let's change those numbers just to kind of be, I guess you can say, more conservative. Let's just say 10%. And then annual share price increase. I don't want to change that necessarily, but let's just put it in at 6% just to be, again, super conservative about this. And keep in mind, we are reinvesting these dividends as well. By the way, what were those? Okay, I was just making sure those numbers were on screen because my recording screen is on one side and the actual thing is on another as far as the recording device, so I just want to make sure. So let's replug in this for the 30 years. All right. I don't want to say this seems better because obviously that's way less money, but even conservatively, if we like drop these numbers down and stuff, these ads on this page here are killer. $7.5 million. Now, obviously in 30 years, this amount of money is not going to be worth the same purchasing power as it is today. So keeping that in mind. But our annual dividends, this seems a little bit more reasonable. Again, it sounds weird to say, but a little bit more reasonable. So 298,215 divided by 12, that'd be $24,000 every single month. Oh my gosh, that just seems like a crazy amount of money to go through. Now, this is obviously if I decided to pull that money out of the property and invest it in here versus like investing in more real estate, which I know a lot of people are big fans of. And I do have intentions to keep on investing more into real estate, but it's really tough when I have opportunities like that where I don't have to stress out as much about things and I can just plug money in to this portfolio and then just let it coast and let it keep on coasting. and just live off of those dividends if I wanted to, which I don't know if I would end up doing that, especially 30 years is a long time. I think my retirement is 26 years. So let me actually switch this over to 26 years. Not that I'm using this for retirement. I actually have a whole separate retirement account, but that would be about $5 million, and that would be $174,000 annually, which is still pretty crazy in 26 years to think about. Like, all of that going in, all of that having an impact. And these are more conservative numbers. Like, if you look at the annual return, it's 6.25. So, we got to really take that in consideration. If these companies continue to increase their dividends, or if I end up getting companies that, start cutting their dividends or don't increase them very much. Like, there's companies that nowadays only increase it by 2-3%, which is barely keeping up with inflation most of the time. Obviously, inflation's way high right now. But yeah, a lot of different opportunities and things to do when it comes to large sums of money, and very fascinating take on it, right? Like, very different. Obviously, again, if I pull that money out, actually, let's go back here. So if I pull that money out to put in here, I still have to pay a mortgage on that house, but I pay that mortgage over 30 years. And you saw that over 30 years, even on the conservative side of things, like, my house mortgage is not going to cost me with interest $7.5 million, like, not even close. So, do I take that opportunity? Actually, even the dividends over that 30 years would be more than enough to pay for the house itself and then some. Like, even annual dividends, I would get an annual dividend of almost $300,000 conservatively on this one. $300,000, which is the amount that I'm taking out now. That's how crazy compound interest is. Like, I should really consider that, because if I take $300,000 now, in 30 years, I will get paid without touching the principal, on average, $300,000. And that's with a very low yield now, right? Like, if I had a 4% yield and had that changed out, like, that would change up the numbers, because then I can reinvest those dividends and all that kind of stuff too, which is pretty crazy to think about. But let me know in the comments down below, what are your thoughts on that, as far as, like, my arrow's like way off. But yeah, like, what are your thoughts on that whole process, what you think about it, and if you would do that, if you were in my shoes, like, would you take out $300,000 on a home to then invest in the market, knowing that it's going to be in there long term, right? It's not going to be there, for a couple months and then pull that money out. It's going to be there for at least 14 years. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Don't forget to check out the link down below if you are interested in signing up for M1 Finance and potentially get up to $500 in bonuses. And while you're down there, if you want to check out my dividend spreadsheet, I do have that available to purchase as well. So again, all of that will be in the show notes down below for you. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop up another video right over here for you to keep on watching.